I got the fever. I'm a junkie for the cash. The more I make, the more I seem to splash. Fast like water through my grip. I couldn't stretch away just far as I could spit. Never had time for morals or gallantries.
It's been a long time since I actually uploaded a video on YouTube. There really hasn't been much for me to talk about over the last year, so I've pretty much been riding the pine. But I just recently went to go see the fourth Pirates film. Actually, I just got back from seeing it about a couple of hours ago. It's worth stating right off the bat that I only ever considered the second film barely watchable, and I hated the third one. I didn't go into this movie expecting them to make one that would redeem the franchise, nor did I go into this movie expecting to hate it. I went in there expecting that they would have at least learned enough from the last couple of films, and they would have put one together that was at least enjoyable. Maybe not a very good one, but one that I could at least enjoy for the length that I was in the theater, and I wouldn't end up looking down most of the time like I did in the third one. And with those expectations firmly in mind, I have to say, I wasn't disappointed. I thought this movie was pretty freaking good. You know, within the confines of it being a summer action film, I mean, I wouldn't call it a really good film based, when compared to other, good films, but it kept me entertained. And it's worth noting that if you haven't seen this film in theaters yet, or bootleg or however, it's probably a good idea to turn this review off, because I'm not going to dive too far into the storyline, but for the most part, I will be giving away a few things here and there. So if you don't want to hear them, I suggest you turn the thing off, because if you hear spoilers and you get mad, don't come bitching to me about it. Alright? Alright, now we got that out of the way, let's get to the basic setup for what's going on here. Well, from what I gathered, England is looking for the Fountain of Youth, and Spain is looking for the Fountain of Youth, and Jack Sparrow is sort of looking for the Fountain of Youth, and he ends up sort of joining together reluctantly with a group of pirates that are looking for the Fountain of Youth, who are led by Blackbeard. And for the most part, it's just a chase to see who's going to get there first while figuring out, what is involved in actually using the Fountain of Youth once you get there. And that's pretty much it. I mean, unlike the third film that just suffered from the too much shit going on problem, this plot to this one was pretty straightforward, and it moved at a fairly decent pace. I really didn't find myself getting really bored this time, which is good. And they scaled back on the time as well, meaning that the film's still over 2 hours, but it's not 3 hours anymore. Thank God for that. Movies like that always tend to make my ass numb in a theater, and I hate that shit. But anyway, getting back to the movie, they do a lot more of the basic, stunts and swashbuckling action that the first one was known for, and that's good. So for the first time in a long while, I can actually say that this was a Pirates movie I kind of liked. But it's not without problems, and I'm going to state exactly what those are. Number one is, now I know I'm probably in the minority on this, but I really liked Barbossa in Pirates of the Caribbean 2, the very small part he was in at the end, and in 3. Even if he didn't really have much of a purpose being there, I still thought his character was cool, and his dialogue and interactions with Jack Sparrow were great. And they brought him back in this one, and I was happy about that. The only problem is that they have him sitting on ass for most of the movie. Seriously, you see him early on, but then it pretty much goes to Jack looking for the Fountain of Youth and Barbossa trailing after him. And pretty much you'll see Jack in a location, and then you'll cut back to a scene of Barbossa still looking for him. Jack will go have another scene, and then you'll cut back to another scene of Barbossa just now getting to where Jack's already been, or something like that. And it's not until the last reel of the film, like the last 40 minutes or so, that they actually run into each other, and then we get some of the funny dialogue and comedic interactions between the two. I wish there had been more of that stuff. As it stands, I liked Barbossa, just I wish there had been more of him in this film, because it just didn't seem like they really gave him that much to do. And speaking of not having much to do, or even having a fucking point in the goddamn film at all, I hated the religious priest character they had. I swear, this guy was put in the film for no other reason than they needed an attractive guy to stand in for the lack of Orlando Bloom. Because really, this guy does absolutely nothing in this fucking movie except bitching at Blackbeard whenever he does something bad. Oh, but I'm being unfair. He also has a romance with one of the mermaid characters that's introduced in the film, which if you look up forced and unconvincing romances, there's a good chance you'll see like, a description of this, because that's a very good example. I mean, it felt like they basically sledgehammered this shit in there because didn't seem to fit, not much setup. I mean, I didn't buy it one step of the way. This is a character that whenever he was on screen, the film was losing ratings points with me by the second. I hope to God that if they do another one of these fucking movies, they leave him out of it. Or at least give him a point for being in the damn movie. The only other real gripe I have about this film is a lack of explanation. When we first encounter Blackbeard, you find that he has a sword that actually can control his ship, literally, like the sails, the ropes, everything. Literally, his ship, every inch of it is under his control by this sword. And there's never any hint as to how the fuck this happens. Go back to the other Pirates films. You wondered why the pirates were skeletons, or why the hell that Davy Jones people were fish people. This shit's explained, or it's at least partially explained. Here, there's nothing. And even when Jack talks to Blackbeard the first time, he remarks on the fact that Blackbeard was supposedly beheaded and his body swam around the ship like 3 times before it climbed back on board, which is like a popular exaggeration of how Blackbeard really died. But if this happened, how the fuck is Blackbeard even alive right now at all? I mean, they never even try to even explain any of that. And he supposedly also has the ability to zombify people and raise the dead or something. I don't know. I mean, how the hell is any of this shit possible? Nothing is ever explained at all. And I can guarantee you, I can hear the messages I'm going to get right now. It's a stupid Pirates movie. Stop fucking overanalyzing it. Well, okay, by that stupid logic, they could basically drop aliens out of the sky and just go with it because it's a dumb movie, right? Sorry, doesn't work for me. If you're going to do something like that, you got to at least try to explain it. It doesn't even have to be a good explanation. I mean, because it's a Pirates movie, but I at least need something to go on. I mean, help me out here. I mean, we're really given nothing. But beyond that, I have to say that I did enjoy myself at the theater, even if this is one of the movies that I'm going to forget about a week after I've seen it. It was pretty decent for the time that I was there, and I don't think that they need to make another one, honestly, because Johnny Depp and Jeffrey Rush's characters both have satisfying conclusions to their stories, or not really conclusions, but spots I would say a good place to leave off at. I don't think they need to make another one, but let's just say if they did and they keep going in this direction, they may someday be able to redeem themselves from the shit fest of the last 2 films.